Hello, welcome to the first Chatting Shit of 2022, episode 1 of the Guardian Cup. Joined by Mozz, Jord and Dan. How is everyone? All good?
Sound. Very good, very good.
Yeah.
Yourself?
Yeah, good. Yeah, glad to be back. I'm in January off. It's I really look forward to doing these, so it's nice to get back to it again. Yeah, Guardian Cup. Selected by move types rather than types, for want of a better word. What do we think to this? Is something new?
Crazy. Honestly, when I first saw the infograph, I was like, what?
Yeah, I couldn't get my head around it at first.
And then the penny dropped. And yeah, I know I get excited every time, but this is I do get excited every time, but this has got it just seems like chaos, and it seems like nothing's gonna be overwhelming and overpowering. I think we're gonna see lots of different people's ideas of mixes and things like that. And yeah, so far I've made 3 different teams. I'm really excited about this. I gotta say I'm open-minded.
It does look like a meta where everyone's going to run. Like, you're not going to see like the same, 3 Pokemon on every team. I don't think, just because people play differently and stuff, don't they? But I think there's a lot of stuff that could be really good.
I was thinking the same in terms of, I said to Brewer before this that I think be lots of different teams, and like you say, not many things on the same team. I was really surprised at how many things are banned as well, and just like you were saying, it took me a while to click that it was moves and not, and I'm thinking like everything's banned. Like what are you going to do? And then I realised it was the types. But it looks like a really nice meta actually. I'm not putting teams together, but there's quite a few things already I'm thinking of using.
Yeah, I think there's going to be variety. I think we may end up in a situation where you have slots of Pokemon to fill like roles, but it seems to me like there's in very few of those slots. It seems to me like there's a dominant pick. And that's what leads to variety, isn't it? In my mind, I'm sure we'll talk about some of that tonight. Particularly with Mozz's pick, I think is an interesting one. Yeah, I like all the bands as well. Like, I'm a huge fan of bands because that's what makes things interesting. Like, if Obstagoon wasn't banned, all of a sudden everyone's winning Obstagoon. I mean, I know Obstagoon's banned, but Vig isn't. But the dark typing is good here. Yeah, and I think they've done really well to stay. It doesn't. Do you remember Commander Cup when we had the counter confusion dark triangle? I think they've done really well to avoid that. I mean, it's still a thing, but it's nowhere near as prominent.
I agree with you. It's nowhere near as prominent. I mean, it's a lot more fluid. It doesn't seem as structured. It's like Commander didn't give you the choice but to do that. You had to follow a set pattern, as this is letting you have that choice. Granted, you're still going to go to that pattern, but you can sort of choose your path with it if you'd like. So yeah, I think we'll see some top heavy teams.
Yeah, it does look fun, definitely.
No,
although I was surprised well, I'm not surprised, but shadows, like I was looking around for shadow Pokemon on the list before. I'm like, where are they? And then I realised they're all gone.
Well, I was a very, very happy man when I saw that fairy types were banned.
Yeah.
I thought initially looking at it, I thought A9 and it's going to be everywhere. It's going to be a real pain. But yeah, fairy types being banned is lovely. I think that's huge.
Any I was going to say without charm, there is one maybe. But,
yeah, I was going to say charm still exists,
but
non-star
predominant. Non-star is from that that glassy. Well, I've only got one in my head. It said glassy as well in it. So if you want to bring that, go for it.
Raichu.
Raichu.
Oh, Raichu, yeah.
That was the one in my head with Raichu. I'd forgotten Gallade runs charm. What kind of psychopath runs charm on Gallade?
No, I don't know.
Mozz, do you want to get into your pick? You're up first, mate.
Yeah, absolutely. So mine is Pokédex number 288, and it's ranked number 11 on PV Poke. It's Vigoroth. So I mean, it's Vigoroth, right? It doesn't need too much justification. It's an amazing generalist. At first, I was really surprised it wasn't banned, but then when I had a look at some of the win percentages, actually, it's not super high, its win percentages. So in the Zero Shields, it has a 39.5% win rate against meta, 41.9 in one shields and 48.8 in two shields. So it's actually quite low. But when I look at things, I tend to base my picks on the advantage you get when you have like a 1 or 2 quick move advantage.
Yeah.
And I tend to use Vigoroth as a safe switch, or if I lose the lead, I'll use it in the mid game. So get 2, 3, 4 counters advantage, and you're laughing really. And when you get 2 counter advantage, you're increasing those percentage wins by about 20%. So I think in that mid game, it can beat many things, and even the things it doesn't beat, it does decently. There's only 3 things really that are going to completely floor it. One of them is Goregeist, which I don't know if you'll see many of them. Maybe you will, I don't know. But Chestnut as well can cause it some problems. I quite like looking at one, like if you have a shield advantage as well. And if you have a 1 shield advantage, you have a 93% win rate against the meta, with only Goregeist, Donphan, and Chestnut beating it. So that's if you have 1 shield, they have naught. In the you 2 shields, them 1 shield, I think it goes down to about 80%, but it's still really good. I didn't look into quick move advantages with that, but it'd just be ridiculous. But even with a 1 counter advantage, you've got an 81% win rate in the 1 shield against and that's all mons in the cup, not just the meta I was looking at there. You lose to Machop and Machoke, which is quite funny.
Really?
Karate Chop Masters. I was quite surprised to see that. I don't think you're going to see them. Maybe, I don't know, but
Man.
I'd certainly be more worried about the Goregeist than the Machoke.
Yeah. I can't find many situations where you beat Goregeist. I don't think it's possible, to be honest, with Vigoroth, unless you got like 100 energy, maybe. But it's not going to happen. Goregeist just completely floors it. But Vigoroth is Vigoroth, right? It doesn't need too much justification. It's a fantastic generalist. Normally my go-to safe switch, to be honest, if I can use it.
What are the 2 of you reckon to Vig here?
It's always good, isn't it? It's going to be good.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think it's as safe though here as it has looked in other metas, because I think there's quite a lot of stuff that like Gliscor, Ninetales, my pick, which I'll keep under wraps for now. Mantine. There's loads of stuff that can come in and get rid of it in even shields, but I don't know. Like what's a couple of counters advantage? It's going to leave either something low or win back switch, because it's just always so good.
I don't think Vig's going to be as prevalent here as in other metas. Vig is the ultimate safe swap. I think anyone who doesn't think it's the ultimate safe swap is kidding themselves. And as Mozz quite rightly said, you get a couple of counters in there, which come thick and fast. Counter is one of the most busted moves in the game. Vig's near unstoppable. However, because of the lack of versatility in its moves, and I know you're saying you won't see that many Goregeist, but I do think you will see a fair share of Ghosts, because I do think Ghosts have a certain element that is useful here. Do you know what I mean? It's not just Goregeist, it's not the only Ghost that's around, which I don't think you'll see many, because not many people bothered making them. Let's be honest, everyone was like, oh, let's get a Trevenant. No one was like, yeah, let's get that extra large Goregeist. Yes.
Yeah,
no one was,
it has to be the right size, doesn't it? I don't get that. But...
Yeah. I think it's the super one that is best against Vigoroth anyway, but yeah.
I think they all do a job against Vig. I think even the small hammers Vig, to be honest. But that's because you're not hitting it with anything back, really. But Vig is awesome, and he will always be awesome. But I don't think... Last month you were on a down step if you didn't have Vig on your team. And a lot of the times, Sunrise comes to mind. If you didn't have Vig on your team, you were already a step behind everybody else, which is why all of us have really good Vigs, if not 2 Vigs, to be honest, because you've got your attack weighted one as well as your PvP IV one. So I think we were all in that sort of situation. I think Vig is going to, again, it will be brilliant. If you are using it, it's going to be great, but maybe it's more of a lead scenario rather than a safe swap. I think there are probably other things that maybe fit into that safe swap scenario. I don't know how the rest of you think about that, but
I really struggle to see a place for Vig here, to be completely honest. What's nice about Vig is that it's counter and it's body slam, and obviously body slam's great against everything, but it seems to me that there's a lot of stuff here resisting counter, like ghosts, a lot of flyings, a lot of the electrics. You've got things like Emolga, Galv, Achu, resist counter. So all of a sudden, I'm thinking, I think the versatility of having either Rock Slide on Machamp or Night Slash on Primeape might be preferable, or even having Toxicroak to resist counter or Donphan to resist electric. I don't know. I think if I was running Vig, I'd want another counter user as well, I think. And so I've not looked at team building yet, but can I see myself going double counter here? I don't know. And that's, for me, is why I struggle to see use of it personally. But as Mozz was saying, once you get 2 or 3 counters,
Machamp's just straight up better here, maybe. I don't know. Like the Rock Slide is nice coverage, right? And Bulldoze is such a bad move.
Bulldoze is terrible.
You know, even if you're like hitting an AWAC, does it do what, like just over half maybe? It's like.
Yeah. When you say the Rock Slide, though, would you not go the payback with Machamp?
No.
Talonflame?
Yeah, I didn't think about it.
Talonflame, yeah, maybe.
Pelipper?
I'm just thinking, if you do start to see this abundance of ghosts and dragons, maybe.
I mean, even to be fair, payback's going to hurt everything anyway, innit? Because it's quite hard hitting. So,
you know, and you steal. I suppose if you go and steal it, you should always go cross chop anyway. But I'm just thinking of the other things that I know. PV Poke says one thing, but you know, I don't like to be over reliant on it, and I like to sort of play with my moves myself and see how I feel about them.
I don't know. I think it might come down to, because the big confusion uses a band, right? So Hypno's gone. Cress no longer in the cycle got confusion, that's gone. I think one of the Azalf Uxie type things is pretty bulky with confusion, that's gone. So all of a sudden we're looking at Bronzong as the only, I don't like the idea of Claydol and Khaled here because flying's so big. So I personally feel like you're looking at Bronzong as your confusion user if you want one. And if that becomes a big thing, then all of a sudden maybe Vig does have more play. But I'm not sure I can see confusion having a big part of this meta. In which case I'd be tempted to try a stab fighter rather than Vig. But I don't know. A lot to see where it goes, really.
There is always a chance as well of using Vigoroth as kind of like some sort of bench pressure to bring out the Primeape or the Machamp, so you can then counter and try and bluff your opponent, I guess.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say then you could always use it with Scratch. Actually, there's always a chance you could use it with Scratch. Where's this going?
I have used a Scratch Vigoroth in Auto Rec before, and it's terrible.
Yeah, I was going to say accidents.
Yeah, and it's not even like it's got the big thing for me is I do think Gorgeist will be quite big. The big thing for me with Fig is that it's got nothing for it. Like, it's not even got like a good example that I like using is like Celio and Frostlass. At least Celio has Water Pulse. Like, at least it has Water Pulse.
Celio, no one's got one of them anymore.
Oh yeah,
Didn't we all evolve our Celios and make them Ultra League Walrons? Is that not what people did?
The Celios are all extinct now. Bulldoze is normally the Water Pulse in this scenario, but with Gorgeist, it's not. So yeah, I don't know. I'm not huge on Vigor personally, but I guess we'll see.
You're kind of talking me out of it.
Yeah.
I was kind of like, oh, it's going to be good. But now I'm like, I don't know if it is.
Well, it's like Mozz said. It's Vig. It's always going to do a job. Like realistically, as long as they ain't got a go, guys, he's going to hurt something.
I think it could be good in the lead. If you've got like two things that can hard beat the counter users in the back, it could be good.
Yeah, I think you've convinced me to think of it more. I didn't really think of it as a lead. I've always tended to use it in that swapping role, but I'm going to give it some bit more thought in the lead. You guys have convinced me.
Fair.
I think it'll be a counter-free cup. I think I've said it before. I think whenever counter's available, it should always play a part on every team, just because punch stuff. You know, that's we're battling monsters at the end of the day. They've got to punch things for it to be effective. So I do think, saying that, I think there might be a justification for a non-counter team. We might see.
Oh, yeah. I think there's going to be an abundance of flyers, so I don't think it's the worst idea.
And it's not like we've got things like Bastiodon or G-Fisk to deal with here. So yeah, I can see it. Shall we move on to your pick, Dan?
Okay. So my pick is Pokedex number 466. It's believed that one of them has enough energy inside them to power an entire big city for a year. Fun facts. From what I'm believed to be told by Mozz, it's called Electivire. Via?
Good job. Nailed it. Smashed it.
Yeah. Not showing me age or anything like that. I've looked at this cup, and yeah, it was Saturday when we were recording this, so it was Saturday morning. Made first breakfast, and in between that period between first breakfast and second breakfast, I did a bit of team building, and I went a bit nuts and got my pen and paper out and made myself more than one team. And I always look at things as you want a tank, a fighter, an anti-fighter, an anti-flyer, and a flyer. That's just the way my team building goes. So Electivire, for all it's a bit paper thin and glassy, I think this is going to be my pick for my anti-flyer. Reasons I'm thinking that is dragons. It's got ice punch. It can hit all the other fighters on it. To give it you in numbers, it beats, in the one shield, beats 53%. In the two shields, it only beats 39%. And in the zero shields, 53% as well, which sounds pretty mediocre, to be honest. But like Mozz said, I looked at it with having it being one shield up or two shields to one up. And when you actually look at it like that, you get to a whopping 95% of the meta. So in the 2-to-1s, you're only actually losing to Steelix and Bronzong. And in the 1-to-0, you're only actually losing to Steelix and Pharaoh. So, you know, that's just on the core meta. I think when you split it up to the entire pack, you're actually losing to like 5 or 6 things. But on them numbers, if you are willing to invest 2 shields to somebody's 1, you're beating pretty much everything with it, which is not bad to start with. As Matt said earlier, I do think flyers are going to be a decent chunk of this meta. I also think water hits everything. It's water's one of them types that just Chinese water torture just drips away at you. So, and it chips away at everything. So you are going to want something to fight against that. Originally, I looked at a Mulga, which is also paper thin. I played around with Raichu, and I wasn't as keen as this sort of fitted in a nice, comfortable place, knowing that the Ice Punch you could potentially debuff in something anyway. And yeah, it's for hitting the dragons and stuff like that, which I do think D-Knight is going to have a big place in this meta. So being able to take that down very comfortably is sort of a good thing. I also think you've got the option as well of running Flamethrower. Now, with Flamethrower, the numbers reduce drastically than Wild Charge. Now, I was thinking running Flamethrower, Ice Punch, because I don't think you want to lose the Ice Punch. I just think Ice Punch hits quite a lot of things, and Wild Charge, it's that debuff and move yourself. I know Matt's face there saying, no, you'd run Flamethrower with Wild Charge, but I looked at it a completely different way, and it was against a game against Mystic Gas 88, who just uses Galvantula all the time. The only way you're winning that match is with the Flamethrower, which if you've got a 1 Thundershock advantage, you win that match with the Flamethrower. So that's the way I was looking at that. So that's my thoughts on it. You know, you either like it or you lump it, really. More numbers. When you do it against the entire meta in the entire roster, sorry, not just the core meta, it's 73 in the 1 shields, 47 in the 2 shields, and 70 in the 0 shield. So for an electric type, it's middling numbers. You know, it's going to lose to what it's going to lose. It's going to beat what it's going to beat. Doesn't beat anything that you wouldn't expect it to beat, really. Maybe Dusclops. I was surprised it beat Dusclops when I went through it. When I went through what it does beat, I didn't expect it to beat Dusclops. But Primeape, Machamp, Muck, Talon, Empoleon, Gliscor, Mantine, Pelipper, Skarmory, you know you're going to beat them.
Yeah, I like it. I think it looks good.
Really. Yeah, the ice punch is really nice, isn't it?
I would go Wild Charge, I don't think.
Yeah, I think so.
I kind of
legacy move though. Do I want a TM off me legacy move? That's the thing.
Build another.
Wait, what's legacy?
Flamethrower.
Oh yeah.
Build two. Treat yourself.
Yeah, I feel like it's going to be a lot of water. So if you kind of like screwed if you get stuck against, I don't know, like a Alola Mola or something. That's a lot of.
And because you're reliant on Thundershock, then it's your only electric damage. It's different, I think, if you've got Volt Switch, so you can rely on that.
Hopefully, no one watches Matt's YouTube show, and no one will know that I'm going to do this. But because if you're in a water type and you see it coming out at you, you're gonna poop your pants and switch as soon as you can. So maybe that's my play there.
I mean,
the bluff game.
You say that, but I bet, because it is so glassy, I bet Castform beats it in twos.
Yeah, the water gun damage will probably take it out.
Let's have a gander.
I think it does, you know. I'm not gonna.
Are you sticking with it, Dan? The results are in.
Best stick with it, you know what I mean? No, you can't. You can't do.
It wins.
Does it win?
Yeah. We have about 20% HP left. Electivire wins. No, Electivire.
Okay.
Oh, right, okay.
But,
what?
Hang on, that's the Ice Punch baiting. Hang on, let me just...
Oh, yeah, you're not going for Ice Punch.
No, you're not.
You could. I don't know.
Oh, no, okay, take it back. Castform wins with like half HP left.
Oh, you are kidding me. IV dependent, that. That's IV dependent, that. That's IV dependent, that. Mine's quite a good one. I don't build rubbish.
No.
Chinese water torture.
Oh, saying that, you won't be going Wild Charge, will you? You'll be going what? Flamethrower?
Oh, that's true, yeah. So...
this is all going Pete Tong for me already.
What do you reckon?
What about Wild Charge Flamethrower? How does that sound? That sounds a bit spicy, but I mean, you're saying the Ice Punch for the Dragonite, right? But I mean, Wild Charge must do a fair chunk to Dragonite. Wild
Charge will. I just think the Ice Punch is so quick to get off. Really is.
Baiting, yeah.
And it'll hurt. Like, Electivire's a really attack-weighted Pokemon, so it'll hurt a bit more than you're used to it doing. And I think Gligar and Gliscor might end up being quite big.
Of course, yeah.
I was chatting with PvP Steve the night it was dropped, and the day it dropped, and I said about Gligar and Return Gligar being, rather than going dig, just being that like bit extra, that maybe that's what you wanted to have.
Yeah.
I can't believe Castform beats it. I'm reassessing my entire life, and Castform comes out with a load of energy at the end, you know.
Yeah, it does.
You've got a full weather ball right there at the end that you can do whatever you want with.
And this has always been the problem with electric type, doesn't it? Because you so often, until Volt Switch was buffed, you've always been reliant on the charge move for damages.
Yeah. It's definitely got a place. I honestly, I was like you, Dan. I was straight to Emolga, but I do think Electivire, if you get it in the right situations, like, you know, you can double up on the wild charge. You're going to at least get a shield or, you know, win back switch with it, aren't you? Because it is just so hard hitting. I think like it could still put in work, but just try and avoid Rainy Castle.
Yeah, I mean, I was looking at it from an anti-flyer point of view, and I didn't want. I mean, I think Steelix is going to be the biggest anti-flyer out there, because it's great and Dragon Tail is just awesome. But Steelix is going to get hurt by a lot of stuff, and I do think we are going to see fire, water, you know, and every team will have a counter on it.
So, the two biggest things are water and fire, aren't they, really? So it's going to hurt them both.
I think the problem with Steelix as well is that some of the flyers include Pelipper and Talonflame. So all of a sudden, is it really a proper anti-flyer? That's my thing with Steelix.
So rather than using your Steelix spot, which I do think we'll see a lot of Steelix, I think you could maybe, especially if you're going to say have a Dragonite on your team, you've got that dragon damage anyway, which is just hurting things, you know, just generally. That it's not like other months where having a dragon that's not a dragon is good. You know, I did it a couple of months ago with Milotic, and having a dragon damage that wasn't a dragon was really good and really useful, and I really enjoyed it. I don't think there's the same necessity here. I think you can just go straight Dragonite and just do the job that you need to do.
Yeah, I think there's room for Thunderfang Steelix here as well. If you're looking at it in the anti-flyer role,
I can see that. It covers the stuff that, I can see that. It's not as hard hitting though, really, is it, Thunderfang?
No, it's not. But I mean, again, I've not looked at it yet, but I feel like if I end up using Steelix, Steelix is one of those ones that does its job really, really well, and that's the appeal of it. But if it's losing to Talonflame and Pelipper, it's not doing its job really, really well. And so with Thunderfang,
I don't think you'll see any Talonflame. Well, maybe you'll see a few, but I don't think Talonflame's going to be a Pelipper. I do see the appeal of it because I think Pelipper is hitting quite a lot of stuff, and it's fast. The Talonflame's just a pain in the backside. And
see, I think Talonflame and Charizard are the best fire types here, personally. So I think any fire we do see will be flame also.
Do you not think Ninetales is
no Solar Beam Ninetales? Yeah.
I don't fancy Ninetales as much as
Ninetales can stand up to really well to the fighters, you know, as well as doing it. So I suppose you're fire ones. And with Charizard, do you really want to use a Fire Spin Charizard? Do you want to be that lane?
You don't have to use a Fire Spin Charizard, yeah.
Dragon Breath.
Wing attack, yeah.
I was thinking wing attack makes sense.
Yeah. This is the thing with Charizard. It's got it all, isn't it? It's got something daft like 6 legacy moves, isn't it? It's crazy.
And it looks cool.
Well, obviously, yeah.
You know,
winning with style.
Yeah.
I think Talonflame looks pretty cool itself. But yeah, I think Charizard can be faster than Talonflame as well, which is quite nice. But we've gone on a decent tangent here, to be fair.
Yeah, I was going to say we're talking about, you know, number rank 13 on PV Poke. You know, the highest rank electric type, ranked even higher than Luxray, which everybody's going to be thinking, yay, it's got a new move, but it's still rubbish.
See, I think the PV Poke rankings are probably a bit misleading with Electivire because they're always getting the baits, aren't they? So
yeah,
and it's in the one shield where Electivire is really good. Like, whereas we talked about the cast form example of the twos. Like, you've got to go in with a game plan with Electivire. You can't, like, if you're playing with Electivire, I feel like you've got to worry about where the shields are going to come from and where you're going to take your kind of shields rather than getting the type advantages right. Which is, I find it difficult to play that way at times because in my head, the electric type should beat the water type, but the game doesn't always play that way.
Spawn one. If you do run flamethrower ice punch, you lose the ones as well.
And a waterfall. A waterfall's going to hurt as well, innit? I didn't think about it like that. Especially debuff.
Yeah. Have we got any more thoughts on fire? No? Okay. Well, I'm going to convince you now. So bear with me with this. I'm going to convince you that the best anti-flyer in this cup is Pokédex number 89, and that's Muck. Because, well, I didn't start with it as an anti-flyer. As I sort of mentioned when we were talking about the counter users in Mozz and his Vigoroth, I don't really like any of them, and all of a sudden that makes it difficult to pick reliable counters to Machamp and Primeape and stuff like that, because the Night Slash for ghosts, Rock Slide for flyers, that sort of thing. So I was looking for something that could reliably take on the counter users. And Muck does that because it's resisting the counter users. It's not weak to any of the charge moves from the counter users, apart from Mud Bomb from Toxicroak and Bulldoze from Vig. It doesn't really enjoy Donphan either, but I think we'll see a bit less of that personally. But the big ones I'm worried about are Machamp and Primeape. And it does that really well. Like, you can switch into them. Fine. Just Poison Jab, Thunder Punch is plenty. I think sometimes you can lose the zeros, sorry, if you switch in a bit late, just because Thunder Punch isn't a huge move, especially non-stab and non-super effective. And if they get to a couple of Rock Slides or a couple of Night Slashes, it can overpower you in the zeros, but in the ones and twos you're fine. So there's that. And so another thing that sort of differentiates it from the confusion users as counters to the counter users is that the confusion users don't want to deal with Gourgeist. Muck really can deal with Gourgeist because it also has Dark Pulse. So I looked at this. So apart from the super form, Muck beats all of them in all even shield scenarios without Muck's not baiting, and the Gourgeists are, and that's a seed bomb bait into a Muck, so that's not it's a bold bait. Muck's beating them all in even shields, even energy, apart from the super Gourgeist in the twos, and that's a super close loss. So it's quite a convincing. Like, it's a answer to counter users that has different coverage to a lot of the confusion users. Another thing that the confusion users can't handle very well is Skarmory. Muck actually does surprisingly well versus Skarmory once you've got a 2 poison jab advantage. Once you've got a 2 poison jab advantage, you win the 2s straight up, and you win the 1s unless Skarmory gets a bait. So I mean, it could happen. Like, it's not convincing. And even if you choose to play out the zeros, you're going to get the Skarmory has to go for Brave Bird, right? And going for Brave Bird straight away once the Skarmory's, because the Skarmory's going to switch on them up, right? So that's fine. You don't really want to go for the Brave Bird straight away, because then you're switch locks and debuffing yourself. So the zeros, there's a lot of play there. So it's, again, it's doing much better versus Skarmory than something like Gallade or Claydol, I think. Bronzong perhaps does a bit better there. Bronzong has other issues as well. But the big one for me is how it can function as the pseudo electric type, because there's no Mud Boys here, which is why electric type looks so good. But Muck also benefits from no Mud Boys as well. And with the Thunder Punch, I had a quick look at some of the water type matchups. You're beating all Poliwrath movesets in 1s and 2s, even if they're double baiting with Ice Punch and trying to get a Scald. Muck's beating it. You're beating Pelipper, all evens, and Pelipper, the easiest way for Pelipper to flip it is by getting the 2-wing attack advantage and double baiting and then landing a Hurricane. You pick up the 0s and 1s versus Cast Form. Thunder Punch comes at the same time, at the same speed as Weather Ball. So that's easily flipped by energy either way. I wouldn't be switching it in on a Cast Form if I could avoid it. Although you can still take the 1s, I believe. You get the 1s and 2s versus Alola Mola, which is really nice, because that's a pain to deal with. Alola Mola needs 2 waterfalls to flip the 1s, so it's difficult to flip. And then, of course, it absolutely decimates Mantine. Like, it'll beat Mantine at a shield disadvantage, which is really nice. So it does the anti-flying things. It picks up Talonflame as well, but that's sketchy because you're not resisting the fire moves or the flying moves, so the Brave Bird will hurt. But it even picks up Dragonite, straight Thunder Punch, I believe. It's just really good. It just beats a lot of stuff. Like it's got a nice typing here. It's got a nice. I'm pretty sure it's the only pure poison here. Although no Swalot's here because Swalot gets Rock Smash, as we know, done. So yeah, but you've got I think the important thing when you're trying to beat counter users is that you've got a mixture of damage coming from fast moves and charge moves. Otherwise, if you find yourselves down shields against him, they are horrendous. So you won't be doing some fast move damage first. So yeah, I'm really excited about Muck. That's my thinking.
You thought it pretty well.
You've sold it quite well there. I've just looked at a lot of stuff there. And in the 2s, that's 86.5% over the entire meta. That's not bad, that. I guess because it's charge moves, you think of being non-stop charge moves, you think of them being paper thin and not hurting really that much. And again, with Fairy being gone, you instantly just throw all the poisons in the bin. I played around with Sea King this morning because I wanted the Swiss Army knife and I was thinking cover all the bases and having. And I also looked at Beedrill as well because, again, fighters, and I was thinking, just trying to think out of the box with them picks. That has put thoughts in my head, that, Matt. I've got to be honest, I've not been big on Muck in Great League. I've used it quite a lot in Ultra League and Factions, and I find it really nice in Factions. I found it really good in Ultra. Mainly because its bulk just hits that extra points, but yeah, I would like to rip it apart on you at the moment, but I'm really struggling to think of bad, hugely bad things that I could just be like, it's Drapion, Matt. What do you know? You know what I mean?
So
You've got your own.
This isn't a Lucario, is it? This is definitely not a Lucario.
This is a strong start. And to think you nearly were going with the Mulga on this first show.
Yeah, nearly went with Mulga, but I thought Muck's my guy. I used it and it's funny you mentioned Beedrill. It plays. If anyone's used Beedrill before, it plays exactly like Beedrill. Really, it's that you're not like it's awful in the 0s. Although Beedrill is a bit better because Drill runs such a good move and has lots of super effectiveness. Muck is good in the 2s, terrible in the 0s because Thunder Punch and Dark Pulse, they're just not hitting hard enough without starting to kill anything. But even Thunder Punch doesn't even kill Pallet. You need the poison jab damage to kill it. I think that's the case. So it's not great in 0s, but it's one of those things where do a few poison jabs. They're not going to shield because, as Dan says, it's the fairly light moves and the non-stabs. They're not going to hit that much. But they hit enough to the point where if you shield their move, you can normally poison jab something down, and then you put your move ready for the next thing. And unless that next thing is a confusion user, it's not going to have an easy time versus Muck. And even if it is a confusion user, you've got Dark Pulse, and you can absolutely wallop that incoming Bronzong for 50% damage. So even if Bronzong counter switches you into your Muck, it can't fully farm you down because you'll get to the 2 Dark Pulses and you'll kill it. It's got a bit of. I used Muck in Timeless Cup years back now, and I really enjoyed it. And it's one of those mons I like looking at. It's like Heracross, Zapdos. I like looking at every time it's eligible in a cup. It's like, can I make a case for using it? Like, because I really enjoy using it. But here, I think there's a really strong case for using it personally.
Yeah, you're making a good case for it. I remember when, I think it was like 3 years ago or something, when Muck got Thunder Punch, and I remember seeing it and thinking that's going to be really useful at some point. And I've never actually used it, but I can't fault your case at all. I'm gonna have to look into it, but yeah, it looks solid based on what you've said.
Something that's going against it, because obviously I can't have Matt being right. Sorry, mate. It's going to have to go in the bin. Loses to Smoochum. That heavy meta pick that is Smoochum is going to take you down quite easily.
I'm gone.
Have a load of energy at the end, and yeah. So you might as well chuck it in the bin now, mate.
Yeah,
sorry.
Let's get rid of Muck. Yeah.
Yeah.
You got any thoughts, Jord?
Yeah, so I think it's one of them Pokemon, especially at the start of the month. It's going to go under the radar, right? And it's going to be particularly at the start. No one's going to plan for it, are they? No. So I think it could be really, really good early in the month, definitely. And then I think it's a bit like Milotic, like in Glacial. That was like really underrated at first, and then you come up against one, and you're like, "Hang on, that's going to be a problem."
How do I kill that?
It could, yeah. I think it could be like that. I think it could be good.
It's really safe. It's really, really safe.
Yeah.
It's not like there's a YouTube show telling everybody about these picks that people watch and
that's a problem,
plan around it or anything.
Everyone's
like that,
going to build like,
anti-muck team.
Well, what we could do.
Play-Doh with mud slap.
Every time someone says muck, we could like bleep it out and then put up a picture of
Grimer
or Swallow or something else just to get.
I think it's the
or
thing.
Smoochum.
I think with Muck being replaced by its much sexier cousin, Alolan Muck, in people's minds and hearts. I mean, I love Alolan Muck. I think it's brilliant. I agree with Jord. It goes under the radar. People do forget it even sort of exists. Let's not forget Ash Ketchum had a Muck.
He did. He had a Muck.
And if Ash has had one, then it must be good.
I've just had a thought. I'm going to do a quick sim because it might struggle a bit versus Empoleon.
Surely it's going to lose to
Dark Pulse will do a fair bit, I think.
But Thunder Punch, surely you want to be...
Yeah.
Thunder Punch.
Let's have
a look.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Got to optimise those timings. No, Muck wins zeros. Finally, Muck wins zeros. I got something. Yeah, you get your 2 poison. You get a Thunder Punch. You tank Hydro Cannon. You get to the second Thunder Punch, and you poison jab down the Empoleon just as it gets to the second charge.
I've never used Muck. Am I right in thinking it's a bit bulkier than like electric types? I know it's got its electric move, so
Muck,
is that like...
Muck is pretty much the exact same bulk as Vigoroth.
Right, okay.
So something to compare it to is always useful, isn't it? So it's pretty much the exact same bulk as Vigoroth. And there's a load of Grimers spawning out in the wild. Certainly they are for me. I don't know whether that's the same everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
So decent chance to get a decent IV one in a minute as well.
Are they part of the power plant event?
Honestly, I have no idea.
Okay. I'll have to get myself a good... I don't know if I've not even looked. If I've got a good one, I'll have to try.
I'm building the Great League Grimer at the moment. Doesn't do dreadful in the ones, though, against Empoleon.
Yeah.
Are you taking a big chunk off it on the way down?
Yeah, and with a couple of poison jab advantages, you win 2s as well. So, cool. Well, I'm glad we all like Muck. Makes me very happy. Unless anyone's got anything further to contribute, do you want to move on? No? Smoochum. There we go. Smoochum OP confirmed. Anti-flyer as well, right?
Yeah, anti-flyer.
What's the new Mr. Mime thing? Hasn't that got Icy Wind?
It's a Mr. Mime. Like, no one's running Mr. Mime at all.
When I first seen the logo, I thought it looked like a clown, so I was like, "Is Mr. Mime going to be a meta here?" The Guardian Cup logo. Have you seen it?
Yeah. Do you know what Mr. Mime beats? Obviously, as you'd expect, Gliscor, Dragonite, Man-Team, Vigoroth, Pelipper. Mr. Mime's...
It's got Icy Wind, and it's got the choice of Ice Shard and Confusion, I think.
Oh,
Yeah, Ice Shard, Icy Wind. You could have Psychic, Psybeam, Ice Punch.
Can I change my pick?
No, your pick's really good.
To Zen Headbutt Mr. Rhyme.
Why not?
Could do your little.
Your pick's really good, Jord. Your pick's really good. I reckon, anyway. Do you want to move on to it?
I'm a bit scared now. Everyone's talking about flyers. being like the meta, I'm like, nah, it still should be good. I'll roll with it. So my pick is Pokédex number 189. I think it's a good typing for this meta with water fighting everywhere. It's Jumpluff. Obviously, Bullet Seed, good energy generation. It's going to beat all the waters other than Mantine because of the Ice Beam. I think it's going to beat the Safe Swap Vig that's everywhere in any shield scenario. It beats Steelix in 0 and 2s. You're going to lose the ones, but if you really want to switch or shield it down, it could be good there. It narrowly loses to Galv, but apart from that, like it's like Mozz and Dad's pick. It loses to. It's only got like a 40% win rate, but give it a Bullet Seed or a shield, and it starts to gradually increase. Obviously, you got to watch out for the flyers and the fires. But if you can avoid those, I think it could have some really good player.
Particularly
bulky as well, isn't it? So
yeah, hugely bulky. Like particularly for people who haven't built the Go Guys, as Dan was saying, and we're obsessed with Trev. Like it's probably about as close as a Go Guys replacement as you can get. I would have thought. It's interesting that normally I look at Jumpluff and I think Aerial Ace is such a crap move. Can we put Dazzling Gleam on it here for dragons and stuff? But there aren't really any dragons. Oh, go on.
I was like, right, what else has it got? Because of the exact same thing. Aerial Ace is that bad. But yeah, I don't think we can do the Dazzling Gleam thing here.
No. It does get returned though.
Yeah. That would be interesting. I wish I had a purified one.
Yeah, I suppose the problem with like if you drop Aerial Ace, you're not beating the fighters, are you? And that's the problem. And that's well, then you maybe got Toxic Rope becomes tough without Aerial Ace, I suppose. Yeah. So, presumably then you think that you're with me that count is going to be quite big.
Yeah, well, that was my first thought. Water and fighting. And I was like, right, what beats both of them?
Yeah. So it beats
in the back.
Fair. It's another tick in the muck column, if nothing else. But yeah.
I think you're looking at flyers, and I do think flyers always have. I don't know. Maybe it's just the way I play the game and things like that, and how I was introduced to PvP sort of. And at the time when I was introduced to it, Skarmory was so really good, and it was everyone was using it. I think Jumpluff's got a huge place, to be honest, Jord. I think it's something that people will have slept on a little bit and not really thought about, because a lot of your traditional anti-flyers aren't beating it that easy. I mean, I was just looking at my pick then against it, and you're beating it quite, in those zeros there, you comfortably beating it. Knowing the ones and twos, it's so you're not taking that same electric damage because of your grass typing.
Yeah.
So I think it could be quite good. I get, you're saying something to beat the dragons and stuff like that, but are you really having it there to beat the dragons? You're having it to beat other things.
Yeah.
And I think in a meta where grass isn't going to be as prevalent as other types of things. I mean, I looked at like chestnut and stuff like that earlier today, as being one of the only viable ones that I was thinking of. Jumpluff really stands out now it's been said that, and I'm actually thinking about it, that actually does offer something completely different, and he's offering something different to the other flyers out there, which are a lot more. the other flyers out there instantly coming to mind are your Pelipper, your Mantines, Skarmories, and things like that, which, or in the case in the teams that I built, Dragonite was one of them. Jumpluff offers some really different options to that.
So it feels safe against the anti-flyers, right? That's
yeah. And I think that's huge in itself, being safe against the anti-flyers. I quite like that.
The big one for me is that in metas where electrics become the sort of go-to anti-flyers, without fail, a Alolan Graveler sort of rises to the top. I'm not a huge fan of it personally, but it seems to always be there. And Jumpluff is going to give that a seriously tough time. It's not even like, realistically, Jumpluff's so bulky and Rock Blast is such a bad move that it's not even like you have to shield. So you're forcing them to throw Stone Edges, probably, I would have thought. And all of a sudden, that makes Graveler not quite as fast as it normally is. And with Bullet Seed's energy generation, you're going to be probably outpacing it. So having a flyer that can do that, if Graveler ends up being big, I think it will. I think with all the flying types and all the, I think Talonflame is going to be big, so that'll help us as that. Although there is a lot more water around, as we've been saying, so having the rock type makes it less reliable versus the waters. But I think there's a huge place for Graveler here. So having Jumpluff as a flying type is really, really nice.
Even against the go-to electric type, just going back to electric typing, people's go-to one is usually Galv. Certainly at the moment, because Lunge is just ridiculous as a move.
Not a bad
loss, isn't it's not a bad loss.
No.
Yeah, you're losing across the board. Let's not pretend you're winning.
Yeah.
But you're sort of crippling it. You really, it's in dangerous, in all shielding scenarios. For instance,
it's in farm down range, isn't it?
Yeah, especially if you're coming in with like a big, as you've just led in with your Jumpluff, and then you're coming in with a Vig, and you're smacking it. They're not getting another move off on your Vig there. So I think how you use it is going to be key. I think if you use it right,
you don't want to get caught against like Skarmory, do you? But if you can avoid the more typical flyers and Talonflame, I think it could be sneaky good, maybe. Hopefully.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of stuff here that doesn't want to get caught against. There's always a lot of stuff that doesn't want to get caught against Skarmory. So I think as long as you're limiting what else is on your team, that's true.
Double flyer, maybe. I don't know.
Well, if the other
might be a step too far.
I don't know. If the other one's Talonflame, why not?
You really want to get caught in a situation where,
Jumpluff's covering your rock and your water, Talonflame's covering your steel.
Yeah. Maybe.
I don't know that I'd run them together on the same line of three. It might be that it might be that every particular opponent is weak to one of them in particular. I could see it. Mozz, what do you reckon?
Jord ideas. He 7-0'd last month.
Oh yeah, that's true.
We don't want any more 7-0s from Jord. Do you know what I mean?
Have you considered infestation?
So, Mr. Rhyme Jord.
Oh yeah.
It's the way forward, mate.
Honestly, don't. It looks good.
Go on, Mozz. You got any thoughts on Jumpluff?
Yeah, I mean, similar to yours, to be honest. I can't really fault it. The thing that was going through my mind was whether Machamp's Rock Slide's going to do a big chunk to it. But I've just simmed it, and it does less than half health. And, it's going to resist the counters, so even that's not too bad. But, I mean, we keep coming to the same conclusion in this episode. It loses to Smoochum. It's going to absolutely wreck it, isn't it? Let's do a sim.
Oh, sleeping on Smoochum, but, I'm just saying, OP.
One shield, it beats it with 84 HP left.
Right. So, we talked lots about Machamp. But one fighter that I always really like using, especially in a meta like this, where there's not a huge deal. Like, yes, water's big, but you probably won't see like electric's big as well. So I don't think we'll see multiple water types. And especially if Pelipper is the most popular water type, Blaziken might have a load of play.
Stone Edge Blaziken.
Stone Edge Blaziken.
The elusive Stone Edge Blaziken.
Less elusive these days.
Yeah.
Can die just from you tapping your phone. You know, it's when we talk about things that are paper thin, it's thin.
No, a wing attack from Pelipper's to end it to like half health.
Yeah, but that's I don't think there's the only place for it. It's the sort of thing where that's the sort of example I was talking about earlier, where that's why I like a bit of fast move damage against counter fuses, because I imagine Blaziken gives Jumpluff a difficult time, even with counter. So I suppose that's, for me, it's not quite as reliable against the counter users as I would like, but neither's Muck really. So shouldn't really be throwing stones. But I think it's a great option to have with a confusion user.
You know what Blaziken beats though?
Smooching. There we go. Blaziken, king of the meta.
Are you sure? Smoochum's got Psyshock. I don't know.
Blaziken wins.
I mean, the counter should just nail it, right?
Yeah.
Is Smoochum pure ice or is it ice psychic?
Ice psychic.
Ice psychic.
We shouldn't be talking too much about Smoochum if someone else is going to talk about it later. That's we've got to leave it some wiggle room. But yeah. Has anyone got any more thoughts about anything we've discussed, or any ideas that have come to mind in the past hour or so?
Right. SmackDown Chestnut.
And you see, that's what I was looking at rather than Vine Whip. I was looking at SmackDown.
I was just looking at fighters and I was like, hey, superpower. I mean, I don't know how many you're going to get to with SmackDown, but someone switching a talent flame on that.
It's true.
No one's switching a talent flaming on it, though, really, are they?
It's really weak. It's really weak to wing attack as well, though. So I imagine it's a really close game with Pelipper.
Chestnut might be your one mom where Aerial Ace is actually decent.
Yeah. Chestnut and Heracross is the.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure Aerial Ace from Mandibus doesn't even kill Heracross. So.
No, it doesn't.
That's.
Jumpluff with return though. Going back to that.
Oh, what a return one now.
I think return is the way to go. I do think return's the way to go. I think it just hurts. And I know you're saying, you won't do as effective in the fighting matches and stuff like that, but return just hurts. You win more of the actual meta with return than you don't.
I'm just going to say.
Do you still get return if you've TM'd away frustration?
No. No, you get one shot at return. It doesn't, despite the name, return.
Return. No, you lose the tops.
It's still a shadow though. This one.
It's still a shadow.
Oh
yeah.
Then I think you might get it if you purify it.
I think you do.
Yeah.
I don't blame me if it didn't work, but I think you do.
Yeah.
You lose the toxic rope matchup completely.
You see, I've got a shadow Jumpluff here that is really I've never built, but it's like rank 47 as a shadow. I'm just seeing if I evolve it. So it goes to be. Oh no, it goes to be like a rank 277 Jumpluff with return.
You don't want to be doing that.
No, don't.
No, I don't want to do that.
You'll make me cry.
No, but
I was just checking there. I was like, if it actually goes to like a rank 1 Jumpluff, then
Jumpluff can be XL now, it can be expensive. So you're probably looking at around a rank 200 if you want to keep it below level 40. I guess
that goes to level 41.
Right. Okay. Well, that's not
my level 41 one is
it as a shadow, it goes to level 43. but it's going to cost me 400k dust, which is why I've never built it.
Yeah.
I think it's better as a non-shadow anyway, because its bulk is what makes it, right? It's like
Agreed. Yeah.
It's like Skarmory. I built a Shadow Skarmory, and I was like, this is really bad.
I think Bullet Seed, though, is just one of them moves that's so quick at energy generating. That's why I thought having it as a shadow one day could become really clutch, was because you'll get quick to them energy balls, and the things that don't want to see an energy ball is going to... That was my thought.
Aerial length actually decent with a shadow bonus.
And it goes up to 1500 as a shadow, so I was like,
Up
to 1500. Yeah, it makes me feel nice and fuzzy and warm. So, yeah, no, I'm not going to do it. But Jord, if you've got one, go for it. We'll all watch while you do it.
And then I'll evolve my Jumpluff after, right? I'm tempted. I need to look more into the return thing, but because mine's like not the greatest rank as a shadow anyway, so I'm kind of tempted.
Okay.
But TBD.
In the one shield with return.
It depends how big Toxicroak is now. That's got me thinking about Toxic.
I don't think Toxicroak's going to be 2 shields. It's 60%.
Just dismissing it completely. It's fine, Jord. It's fine.
Do it. But in the zeros, you only win 20% with return.
Oh, that's awful.
That is bad. To be fair, it looks bad anyway. I think it's like 38% on the meta. But we'll just ignore that. It'll be all right.
Go on, Jord. Yeah.
Go on, Jord.
Go on, Jord.
You do all the balloons anyway. I'm sure you'll come on. 23% it wins. So it does win more with return still.
No,
it doesn't.
Return OP.
Return OP, mate.
Hang on.
I'm a big fan, and I think Jumpluff's one of them mons that will actually get to the return. As other mons, you do look at it
and good energy generation. It's going to get there.
What about return aerial ace? Because you're resisting water damage anyway, so you'd probably be able to beat the water straight return, and you keep an aerial ace for Gorgeist. I bet it beats Castfall and straight return.
I feel like the energy ball's quite nice for steel the Steelix and the Probo Pass coverage though.
Empoleon as well.
Empoleon, yeah.
Yeah, fair enough.
With the drill packs.
Yeah, no, fair enough. You talked me out of that already. I'm like,
but you could just do it now, and we could test it out.
But it's mad dust as well, and I'm quite dust poor right now.
George, you being dust poor, and like me and Matt Matt's actually dust rich because he doesn't spend anything, does he?
I'm dust poor.
I spent a lot in Glacial on stuff I didn't use, so I'm down to about 600k at the moment.
Yeah, I'm on 259.
Okay, I feel just rich now. I'm not about a mil.
I'm on like 180k. I've got nothing.
Oh, I'm definitely just rich. For the box, that isn't it?
So, well, let's leave it. Let's leave it on that moment then, before rather than just continuing to bully Jordan into spending his stars. Not a good example to set, but no, I've enjoyed it. But I'm honestly,
I think this is going to be great though this month. I really do.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I'm thrilled for it.
Does look good.
Cool. Well, thank you for joining me, guys. And
thanks for having us, Matt.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
It's been quality. And catch you all later.